There's a paddle that keeps ending up in my bag, and I didn't expect it to. The Mark Pickleball Two R3 shares the same visual language as the rest of Mark's lineup: safe, neutral, and somewhat forgettable. In a market where bold graphics and distinctive designs help paddles stand out, I think they're playing it conservative across their entire range. But after weeks of playing this paddle, I kept grabbing the 2R3 over paddles that command more attention on the rack. Sometimes performance speaks louder than graphics, and that disconnect between what catches your eye and what actually delivers in play is exactly what we need to talk about with the 2R3. After all, let how the paddle plays speak for itself rather than how it looks. So what's going on here? Why does this one keep ending up in my bag? Mark Pickleball sent me this paddle for testing. No money changed hands, no content obligations, just my honest assessment after extensive court time. The retail price is $189, but you can grab it for less with code MPB at markpickleball.com, which gives me a small commission to help my channels grow. So let me tell you what I discovered with the 2R3 and why I'm hoping this paddle finds its audience based purely on merit. The 2R3 uses what Mark calls their KevlaCarbon surface, a blend of aramid fiber, Kevlar, and carbon fiber for the hitting surface. The Kevlar offers impact resistance while the carbon fiber adds strength, and together they create a twill weave construction that's grippy for spin. The surface texture is coarse. My measurements put it at 6.74 microns of roughness, which sits just above the typical range for the paddles I've tested in my database. That texture contributes directly to the spin generation capability, especially on slower paced shots. And the Kevlar face delivers smoother, plusher contact than stiffer carbon fiber alternatives. However, after 16 to 20 hours, there is some smoothing on the paddle surface. Roughness dropped to 6.5 microns, which is insignificant and also expected. The core construction is where things get interesting. Mark calls this KinetiCore, a fully floating EPP foam core surrounded by EVA foam. The EPP center doesn't extend all the way to the edges, which helps manage energy transfer and avoids the harsh dead zones you might find in other foam core paddles. Inside the EPP are 49 precision-cut 8mm hexagonal cutouts that control weight distribution and flex behavior. The most important design detail is near the neck. The neck itself stays stiff and stable, but there's a unique notch cutaway just above it that reduces vibration at ball impact, functioning similarly to a tennis vibration dampener. This design adds dwell and a small amount of spring without making the paddle feel floppy, loose, or unpredictable. What you get is a combination of behaviors that usually live in separate designs. A perforated foam core that feels dense and controlled, paired with an EVA perimeter that adds structure and firmness. The result is a paddle that feels more consistent across the face than most elongated foam builds. It's an elongated shape measuring 16.375 inches long by 7.5 inches wide, with a 5.5-inch handle, maybe 5.6, at 4.125 inches in circumference. This isn't revolutionary engineering, but it's thoughtfully executed. The tuning creates a paddle that moves quickly without sacrificing stability, and the foam architecture delivers real feel instead of hollow resonance or dead absorption. The design is what it is. Mark Pickleball has an opportunity to differentiate their paddles visually to create distinct identities across their lineup. Right now, the aesthetic consistency reads as safe rather than strategic. But the engineering underneath is sound, and that's what matters when you're actually playing. My test unit came in at 8.14 ounces static, which is right in the sweet spot for elongated paddles, not heavy enough to slow you down, but with enough mass to drive through the ball. The swing weight measured 114.95, which sits right at the median for elongated paddles in my database. It's quicker than most elongated designs, lighter than 73% of them, while still having enough mass to drive through contact. That balance is key to how this paddle performs. Twist weight landed at 5.95, which is on the lower side. On paper, that suggests limited forgiveness. On court, it doesn't play that way. More on that in a minute, though. Bounce point was 24.1 centimeters from the butt cap, basically average for the shape. Performance testing put the 2R3 at 60.4 miles per hour on serves and 38.8 miles per hour on punch volleys. These numbers place it in the competitive territory with other power-oriented elongated paddles. The spin test came back at 2,290 RPM, which is higher than 85% of elongated paddles in my database. The firepower score hit 71, which is well above average for elongated shapes. Control score landed at 46, right around typical. Pop came in at 71st percentile, power at the 70th. The ratio between these metrics tells you this paddle is built for offense with enough touch to execute finesse shots when needed. At the retail price of around $171 after code MPB, it competes directly with premium foam paddles from established brands. The value proposition is solid if the performance backs it up. So let's talk about that. The first thing I noticed with the 2R3 was how familiar it felt, and in a good way. This paddle doesn't feel hollow or explosive like Boomstik-style foam paddles. It doesn't have that sharp, aggressive character you get from stiffer carbon fiber faces. Instead, it plays calm, absorbent, and smooth. The closest comparison in pure feel is, I think, the 6-0 Coral and the Enhanced Duo. That same somewhat muted, composed response where the paddle doesn't fight you when you need to slow the ball down. The Kevlar face combined with the foam architecture creates this plush contact feel. You feel the ball and it's not shocking your hand. The feedback is there, but it's cushioned. It's the kind of paddle that immediately feels comfortable, like you've been playing it for weeks. The power delivery is linear and controlled. When I loaded up on drives and serves, the paddle responded with consistent, predictable pace. There's no trampoline effect, no surprise jump. Swing harder and you get more. The response scales with your effort, which makes it easy to dial in your shots. That coarse Kevlar surface provides excellent grip, and the dwell time from the foam core lets you really load the ball with rotation. At the net, the paddle plays quick and controlled. The pop sits in the above average range, reactive enough to counterpunch and finish shots, but not so hot that you lose control in hands battles. Touch shots are where the 2R3 really stands out. This paddle absorbs pace extremely well. You can take hard shots and drop them soft, but the current balance between absorption and feedback works really well for resets and drops. The paddle makes touch shots easy to execute. Stability was the big surprise. On paper, a 5.95 twist weight suggests limited forgiveness and twisting. On court, it doesn't play that way at all. The foam structure, EVA perimeter, and neck flex design together keep the face stable, especially lower in the paddle where elongated foam paddles usually struggle. I didn't experience the dead, no output mishits that are common with some elongated designs. For an elongated foam paddle, the sweet spot is above average. It extends lower toward the throat and stays usable higher into the corners. That consistency is a big reason the paddle feels easy to play. This paddle plays far more stable than the twist weight number suggests. Maneuverability is a genuine strength. The swing weight makes this paddle feel nimble without being twitchy. In fast kitchen exchanges, I could adjust paddle angle, change direction, and respond to incoming pace without fighting inertia. In terms of overall character, this sits somewhere between the Enhanced Duo and paddles like the Boomstik. It has more of that dense, controlled feel you get from the Duo, but with slightly less density, a touch more hollow response, and a large, usable sweet spot. If I had to boil the 2R3 down to one thing, it's this. It's a foam paddle that actually has real feel. Those are rare. Most foam paddles, not all, fall into one of two camps. Either they're hollow and explosive with that resonant thud but disconnected feedback, or they're soft and muted to the point where you lose connection to the ball. The 2R3 sits in the middle ground that I didn't expect to find. You get the plush, absorbent character of foam, that ability to take pace off the ball easily, to reset hard shots without fighting the paddle. But you also get real feedback. You know where you made contact, you feel the ball compress and release. The paddle gives you information throughout the shot without being harsh or jarring. The floating EPP foam with internal voids creates the absorption and dwell time. The EVA perimeter adds structure and prevents that hollow echo. The design flex point near the neck adds just enough spring without making things unpredictable. And together, they deliver a paddle that feels composed and controlled instead of explosive or dead. The 2R3 also responds well to weight additions. I added approximately 3 grams at the lower corners, and that difference was immediate. Drives had more weight behind them, volleys were more penetrating, and the sweet spot expanded slightly. The added twist weight reduced some of the torque on off-center hits without significantly affecting maneuverability. Currently, Mark Pickleball offers the 2R3 in this elongated format. I haven't seen any announcements about a wide body or hybrid shape, so if you prefer those geometries, you'll need to look elsewhere. I think the 2R3 competes in the premium elongated foam category, but its playing characteristics set it apart from other options in this space. The closest comparison in feel, in my opinion, is the 6-0 Coral and the Enhanced Duo. Both deliver that calmer, absorbent response with excellent touch and control. Both make resets and drops easier than typical elongated designs. The 2R3 has slightly more offensive capability, but the overall character is very similar. Compared to the Boomstik-style hollow foam paddles, the difference is dramatic. Those explosive, resonant designs prioritize power and pop with disconnected feedback. The 2R3 prioritizes feel and control without giving up offensive capability. It's much denser, softer, and more predictable than hollow foam designs. Compared to very dense builds like the True Foams or Velour Shifts, the 2R3 is easier and less demanding. The True Foams and Velour Shifts require a bit more precision and punishes off-center contact more severely. The 2R3 offers more forgiveness while maintaining good feedback. At around $171 after code MPB, the value proposition is strong. You're getting thoughtfully executed foam construction, excellent spin capability, and that rare combination of absorption and feel. The aesthetic won't win awards, but the performance justifies the price. I don't think this is a paddle for players who only want to rip the ball at the baseline or at every opportunity. If you're looking for explosive pop and maximum offensive firepower, there are better options. The 2R3 is more about feel, control, and consistency over pure power. It's well suited for players transitioning from Gen 3 paddles who want to explore foam without dealing with hollow resonance or unpredictable pop. The 2R3 feels familiar and comfortable while delivering the benefits of foam construction. So here's the bottom line on the Mark II R3. It's a foam paddle with real feel. The plush, absorbent character combined with genuine feedback creates a paddle that's easy to play without sacrificing performance. Excellent spin capability, solid power output, and quick maneuverability wrapped in a comfortable, approachable package. The design language across Mark's lineup could use a refresh. Bolder graphics and more distinct visual identities would help these paddles get noticed in a crowded market. But the engineering is sound. The foam architecture with floating EPP, EVA perimeter, and designed flex points deliver exactly what it's supposed to. Absorption without mushiness, power without harshness, control without dead spots. The launch is set for February 3rd at $171 after code MPB. That's competitive pricing for a thoughtfully executed foam paddle with a 2-year warranty. If Mark Pickleball can couple this level of performance with more distinctive design work across their lineup, I think they'll have something very special here. Is this your kind of paddle? Let me know in the comments. If this review was helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest takes just like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.